Well, good Friday. It is episode 129 of the Daily Puck Drop here on a Friday, May 31st. How is everyone doing? We made it another week. It felt like it was a really long week. Actually, no, it felt really short, obviously, because we didn't do anything there on Monday. All right, here we got. What do we got here coming up on a Friday? We'll talk about the M's. We'll wrap that up. We always talk about the M's, obviously, because it's the main thing that's going on right now. So, of course, we're going to talk about the M's. We've got some Seahawks chatter. I want to play a piece there from Rob Staton that we kind of discussed yesterday there on the show there with Rob about the impact of Ryan Grubb and what Ryan Grubb's going to have on the offense this year and what does it specifically mean for like DK Metcalf, JSN, all that. And then it led into this just, I don't know, weird conversation that Rob and I had about Marshawn Lynch and then the Beastquake. And which one do we like more? The first one or the second one? Now, again, I know which one was more impactful. Okay, I get it. But for some reason, I don't know why, I like the second one more. And I posted both of the videos up on pucksports.com under the blog tab on the top right corner there of the website. And you'll see it blog. We'll post some stuff up there, just stories and, videos and things like that, just other content up there. And so we posted both videos up there. If it's been a while since you've seen them, go check it out. I think the reason I like the second one more is because of the crotch grab. I think that's almost the only reason. The call is better on the first one. I mean, probably the run is better. It certainly has more impact, but go check it out there at pucksports.com. We'll get into the OTAs, and something that I brought up a few weeks ago when talking about the Seahawks was their issues at linebacker because they're big. And we're going to get there here momentarily. UW, some of their schedule came out in terms of game times and TV times. And I know everyone's up in arms that they don't have, I think 5 of their games now are not taking place like on a network on Saturday. There's a streaming element, Big Ten Network, 2 games on Fox, but we'll get into that. And it's not that big of a deal. Some people are trying to make it a big deal, and then I'm wearing a Cougar hat, so you think I would make it a big deal, but it's really not. Anthony Edwards, there's been some pushback on Anthony Edwards that I'd like to touch on. And, of course, we wrap up every show with Hey, What the Puck. Myself and Jem Moore reunited yesterday, and we'll have that story for you there at the very end. Let's get into the Mariners here real quickly. Jesus, that was craptastic. That was terrible. That was awful. How did those guys not get a single flipping run off that guy? That guy is terrible. First of all, he's a rookie, old spaghetti. He's not that good. And they made the guy look like a goddamn ace out there. They had 46 strikeouts in this series. 46. That is unheard of, man. That is just, I mean, I know they strike out a lot, but Jesus, man. God, it's hard to watch sometimes. And that, again, I'm going to say it again. They're maddening. They're maddening on so many different fronts. And one of the reasons it makes them so maddening is because, my God, they just do not put the ball in play. It's a home run or strikeout. Like, that's all they do. It can at times offensively until they get at times later in the game. And I kind of thought it was going to happen again yesterday. They get in the 7th inning, they would do something, but it makes it fairly boring to watch. Not fairly boring. It makes it really boring to watch in those first like 5 or 6 innings. The time where it gets exciting for them for the most part is, the 7th inning or later. It is amazing that they are 31-27. It's amazing they're 3 games up on Texas. But Arrigetti's not good. They made him look great. I mean, they had only, let's see, after Crawford walks was the first inning and then steals second. They don't get another runner on second base until the 9th inning. Just like watching my Little League game last night, which, by the way, Fisher Plumbing went down 8-0. That was a tough one. Again, all on coaching. It's a bad year for the coach for Fisher Plumbing. We're 7-13 on the season. Again, these were just warm-up games, though, for the playoffs. Playoffs start next week. We will likely be the 4th seed in the playoffs. And there are only 4 teams. Coaching. This is going to be a lot of self-reflection this year for the head coach of Fisher Plumbing. Back to the Mariners, who, again, I think Fisher Plumbing at this point might be able to beat them. They've scored 9 runs in this series against Houston. Yet they damn near swept them. They took 3 out of 4. It's just, you shake your head at that. Would they end up with 21 hits, I believe, in the series, the 46 strikeouts? Saw this note there from Joe Doyle. Joe really active there on Twitter, especially doing with like all the not minor league stuff, but college scouting and scouting in general for draft eligible players. And man, I mean, anyone can go look this up. It's not like anything that Joe came up with. It's like groundbreaking. You just looked at the stats. I would just happen to go through Twitter last night and see it. I mean, if you read off these numbers and didn't show anyone what the record was, just you pull some Mariner fan out. Hey, you don't know what the record is. You have been away. You've been camping in the woods, doing mushrooms, whatever you've been doing. I'm going to read you off their offensive numbers, and you tell me what their record is. Okay, they're 24th in slugging, they're 27th in OPS, 27th in on-base percentage, 28th in batting average, and 30th there in strikeouts. And yet, you would ask that person who was in the woods doing mushrooms, hey, what if I told you they're leading the division by 3 games? No way would they believe you. Not a chance that they would believe you. But no one's pulled away. No one has created separation in this division, and they keep winning, but they are just so immensely flawed. Maddening and flawed. We need to create one word that it's maddening, flawed. Flawed, maddening. Flawdening. Just, they are. I don't know if they can keep it up. I hope they keep it up. Their starting pitching has been elite. They'll have another great pitcher tonight. Our guy Brian. Woo, woo, woo. Our guy Brian. Woo, woo, woo. Mr. Woo, woo, woo. Brian Woo on the mound against Jose Soriano. Woo has been terrific. One more time. Woo, woo, woo. Just for good measure. It's a Friday, for God's sakes. Jose Soriano, 2-5 with a 3.61 ERA. Here's the good news about yesterday, since they lost 4-0. The under hit again. God, we are red hot on the under. Okay, 14-1 now is the Bet M's under summer tour continues. The total tonight is 7. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the under one more time. It's been a minute since we have been over 500. So we'll see if we can get back on the winning ways. I don't know what the solution is. All right. Well, I do know what the solution is. They need to find better offense and stop striking out as much. Okay. Was it 15 last night or 12 strikeouts? I can't keep track of the amount of strikeouts that these guys have every night. And what's just so laughable about the whole thing was what was the talk all offseason? Oh, we're going to cut down on the strikeouts. We're going to acquire guys that put the ball in play. My God, they're worse. They're worse than they were last year in this department. It's just terrible. Now, I don't firing the hitting coach or any of that stuff or whatever the organizational philosophy is with these guys. But man, oh man, it just doesn't seem or matter. Whoever that they acquire, whoever that they bring in, it's just kind of the same thing over and over and over. They come here and it's just strikeout city. So whether it's they just are acquiring the wrong players, an organizational stance, how they teach hitting, how they teach approach, what have you. And they all have their individual hitting coaches. We talk to Divish about that all the time. You know, they're the team's hitting coaches are kind of just there to bounce ideas off. I'll be honest with you. I don't even know what a professional hitting coach does nowadays for a team. Because, as you know, we just said and we've talked about, these guys all have their own guys. So who are they listening to? They're going to listen to their own guys. They're not going to necessarily listen to the hitting coach of the team. So I'll be honest with you. I'm not really sure what these guys do. I'm not sure what the Mariners offensive coordinator does. What's his role? Honestly, like, what is it? Because whatever it is, it's not working. I mean, because they're all, I mean, they're no better than they were last year. Hell, they might be worse. Well, I think they are worse. So, I mean, Brant Brown. Shout out to Brant. I had to look his name up. I couldn't remember what his name was. Brant Brown, the Mariners offensive coordinator. Just would like to know how everyone thinks Brant Brown has done as the Mariners offensive coordinator this year. And maybe don't announce him as the team's offensive coordinator. They'll start a series against the Angels. The Angels are terrible. Do yourself a favor. Just go pull up the Angels roster and like their depth chart and their stats and just look at it and go, who the hell are these guys? It's just Hoppy and Ward. Those guys are good players, but yeah, it's not a real who's who, especially there with Mike Trout being out. Let's transition over to the Seahawks here for a quick second. They've got their OTAs that are still going on, or they're going on right now. We'll touch on that real quick because there's a storyline that's coming out of their OTAs that they're going to have to address, and probably going to have to address this pretty soon. I do want to touch in on something that Rob Staton said yesterday. Rob was always just a great guest. He's doing a live show right now, by the way, for his BBC radio show as we record this here on Friday, May 31st. So shout out to Rob. Good luck. Rob, if you watch this or listen back to it, hope all things went well for you. But when we were just discussing it yesterday, big topic was, the impact of Ryan Grubb. We've talked a lot about, Mike Macdonald and what Mike Macdonald is going to do for this defense. And I've mentioned several times here on this pod that, there's part of me that's a little bit more intrigued and excited to what Ryan Grubb's going to bring to this offense or to this team. Because there is I think there's so much skill set on that offensive side of the ball. If we remove and peel back the issues with the offensive line, which are still very, very real. And so you can have all the best schemes in the world, but if your offensive line can't protect or do anything, yeah, you're going to be in trouble. But you look at the skill position players. I mean, DK and JSN and, to a degree, Noah Fant. I like Noah Fant. Tyler Lockett. God, I almost left Tyler Lockett off. The two running backs. A quarterback is certainly capable of making things happen. Yeah, I think there's a lot there to work with that I think Ryan Grubb can get his hands on. And so I asked Rob yesterday on his appearance. And again, go back and listen to it or watch it. All the platforms, YouTube. Go back and listen to it. Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, all of it. I asked Rob just what he thinks Grubb's impact is going to be on the team. But specifically, Rob answered what he thinks Grubb is going to mean to DK Metcalf.
I want to see a lot of that. I think it's going to come. I also want to see it because I want to see DK Metcalf challenged to succeed in that environment because he's got everything physically. Yeah, I always kind of feel like when you watch Mike Evans for Tampa Bay, who always seems to play well against Seattle, or if you watch Julio Jones, who always seems to play well against Seattle, they would dominate those 1v1 opportunities. I don't think DK Metcalf has done that at any point in his career consistently. So I want to see him get those opportunities to see if he can take that next step, which he kind of been waiting for ever since he was drafted. So on that, I think that is potentially very good. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba's got all the talent in the world. And when you see what Grubb was able to do with not just Odunze, but with McMillan and with Polk, I think there's going to be a role for Jackson Smith-Njigba where he could have a major breakout year.
And I'm with Rob on that one. I mean, JSN just is the type of player that you think that when you look at Ryan Grubb and what he was able to do with all those wide receivers at UW, and you get kind of excited what he potentially could do with JSN. I'm just intrigued what he can do just schematically with these guys. I mean, I think the biggest rub, of all the offensive coordinators that have been here, over time has been, hey, man, can we do something more to get DK Metcalf of the football and really and get the football to our playmakers on offense in better spots? JSN has only been here for a year, but look at those guys. There's very few teams that have, the talent at wide receiver than what the Seahawks have, especially on paper and on the field. Metcalf, Lockett, and JSN will rank right up there. And I think that Grubb looks at that and will scheme and come up and devise a game plan to get all those three guys the football where they're best suited to get the football. I bet you're going to see a lot of DK getting moved inside and matching up on linebackers and safeties and doing different things like that. It's all about creating mismatches. You hear that. You hear McDonald talk about that all the time on the defensive side, all about creating mismatches. Grubb is kind of the same way. Geno Smith was, this was yesterday. So on either Thursday or Wednesday, I guess it doesn't matter, was on the Jim Rome show and talked about so far what he has seen from new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb.
In the past, 2 weeks, I've seen plays that I have never seen before, and that's something to say for a 12-year veteran. And, Coach Grubbs, he's come right in and like Coach McDonald, man, he's laid it out for us. He set the tone. He's got high expectations. We got high standards. And, the guy he's got some plays, man. I can't wait to get out there and show the world.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's the Geno Smith on the Jim Rome show. Pretty cool to hear that from your quarterback. And, yeah, I think there'll be a learning curve for Grubb. And, there may be some times where it doesn't look all that great or there's going to be some, some growing pains. But, yeah, I think there's just, again, a lot of focus on the improvements the defense is going to make. One thing that I would like to see, what was frustrating, at least with Pete, was it was okay offensively if you scored first and scored often. And for some reason, it just felt like he was immune to that or scared or put off. That his whole mantra that you can't win in the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, you can win in the fourth quarter was, let's just keep it close until the fourth quarter, then we'll see what happens. I like just to be aggressive right away. And to me, the object of the game is to score more points than the other team. And really, that's the object in every game. I need to score more than them. And so I'd like to see an offense that comes out and is a little bit more aggressive right out of the chute and put up some points as fast as they can. That only helps your defense. It does. If you long sustained drives, wears out their defense, keeps the other team's offense off the field, you get points up on someone. Now it changes their game plan. It causes them to throw the ball a little bit more. Then you can be a little bit more aggressive. So, more points equals more fun. You hear that, Mariners? And I know it's not called points. You get the point. I said a lot of points in there. All right, OTAs for the Seahawks. They continue to roll on. It was open yesterday there to the media where people just get to overanalyze all of it. But that's the beauty of OTAs. That's what it's built for. One thing that is not overanalyzed is their linebacker situation. Now, maybe these guys will be ready for training camp. I know Mike McDonald said that they will. Okay, fine. But Tyrell Dodson and Jerome Baker, again, not practicing. All right, fine. Hopefully they're ready by training camp there late in the summer. But they need depth at the linebacker spot. They cannot go into the season if something happens to one of those two guys, and then you're looking back and now depending on John Radigan to come in there and play middle linebacker or second-year player out of Montana. Shout out to the Grizz. I love the Grizz. Divish, the Mountain, Stockman, just all of it. The Ox. I love everything Missoula. I'm not so sure second-year linebacker Patrick O'Connell is the answer if something happens to those guys. John Radigan is going into his fourth year. Okay? Radigan has played 3 years. He's totaled 32 tackles. O'Connell, as I mentioned, is going into his second year. Got 1 tackle. They need help, like immediately. This is why the Jamal Adams thing doesn't go away. And I'm not saying Jamal Adams is the choice. Of course, they have Tyrese Knight, the rookie out of UTEP, but he's been running with the twos. They seem to be doing that with a lot of the rookies because the tackle guard Haynes. He's been running with the twos despite Bradford being out. So maybe it's just kind of like a rite of passage thing here for Mike Macdonald, not to insert the rookies right away, but whatever. We'll see. That probably changes once they get into training camp. But what needs to change is they need to beef that up somehow, some way. Maybe guys get cut at the camp, they can add. Doubt they'll pull off a little trade. That's why the Adams things, talk probably makes sense for them. It's probably why they keep talking about it. But that is an area, at least for me, maybe not for you guys, is of concern, a real big concern. Because they didn't commit to Dotson and Baker, right? I think both are one-year deals. It's not like they really committed to those guys. All right, we'll move on. Husky football. So there's a lot of angst about this. I saw this briefly. I was coaching baseball, and I saw everyone like freaking out about UW's football schedule because they have all these games. 5 of their games right now are not on like a traditional network on Saturday. And everyone thought, hey, we get out of the Pac-12, we'll have more exposure. We don't have to be on the stupid Pac-12 network, which is all true. They're probably disappointed, and I get it, that 2 of their games are on a Friday. Not all are disappointed, but there's going to be some in the fan base that are, and I get it. I don't mind Friday games as much as everyone else, but I only mind it for one reason. That's just because I think it interferes with high school football. So I would hope that the execs would pull games off Friday so people can go to high school football games, and like the high school football would be a priority, but no one cares anymore. NFL doesn't care. College football doesn't care. TV doesn't certainly care. But the 2 Friday games there on Fox, and neither of them are really good. Maybe the UCLA one, but Rutgers, no one's going to watch that. 2 on Saturday, both on the Big Ten Network. And then the Apple Cup is going to be on Peacock. Now everyone's making a joke. Hey, I thought you guys wanted to leave so you weren't on streaming. And then, of course, the Apple Cup's on Peacock. Well, I don't know. It's just one game as of now. And here's the deal about the Big Ten. Like, I don't think this is a big story, and I don't think this is some shot. And I'd love to take shots at Washington. You know me. I would love to do it. I don't think this is a shot at Washington and saying, God, see, you guys left, and now all you're doing is being on some streaming platform. Well, I mean, there's only one game. It's the Apple Cup. Now, is the Apple Cup on a streaming platform, Peacock, stupid? Yeah, it's dumb. If you're not going to attend the game, now you got to go sign up for Peacock if you don't have it. Yeah, it's stupid. Especially that game, because that game is a game that you could put on Big Fox or someplace else, and it would generate a monster number. And it's going to generate a monster number this year because of just everything that has transpired between the 2 schools and the landscape of college athletics. And then it's played in the beginning of the year, which is, we've never done it before. Well, I don't think we've ever done it before. Not in my lifetime have they ever played in the beginning of the season. Maybe back like years and years ago, like when Jim Moore was watching the games. Maybe they played in the beginning of the year. But the fact that it's on Peacock, I mean, it's stupid. But it is what it is. And so you got to just move on. And if you can't make the game, then watch it on Peacock. Find a buddy that wants to get it. The tickets, the big issue with the Apple Cup right now are the tickets, which is just ridiculous. I mean, I think the latest was like $350 for these things. No doubt that was going to happen because of where they're playing, time of year, and all of that. So I'm still up in the air whether I'm going to go or not. Probably at the end of the day, I'm going to go. I'm going to say that I don't want to go now, and then it's going to pull me back in, and then I'm going to go. And you know what? It's probably the right decision to go. But back to the headline, like, this is not some dig at Washington because that game's on there, or they don't have more games on a traditional network on Saturday. The Big Ten Network and their reach is gargantuan and is not even remotely compared to what the what the Pac-12 network reach was. And then lastly on this one, if you're a Husky fan, you're frustrated by this, which again, I understand, but I would say this is what you get. This is what you wanted. Not all of you, but some of you. So you can't then now be frustrated by it. Because if you're frustrated by like 2 Friday games or frustrated by the schedule that has come out, I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Like, the Big Ten wasn't going to put their marquee teams and schools on Friday. It's the West Coast is going to get dinged for it because you guys are the new kids in the classroom. New kids in the classroom get picked on, and that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to get picked on for a few years. You're not going to get the benefit of the doubt on the schedule. That's just going to happen. That's just the reality of your situation. Now, some of you are going to take it and go, that's fine because we're getting money, not the full share, but at least we're getting money. And then eventually we are in a better place now with the landscape of college athletics than we were a year ago or where we would be right now. So I don't think it's that big of an issue. Some fans may not like it, but you'll be fine. Anthony Edwards, real quickly on the NBA. The NBA finals are set. We get Dallas and Boston. This is great. There's so many great storylines. Kyrie Irving going back to Boston. I'm sure the Boston fans are going to take it pretty easy on him. Luka, a superstar. You know, you're looking for somebody to kind of take that mantle as the next superstar in the league. And he obviously has that. I mean, he's been a superstar in this league day one since he set foot on the court. Now he gets to do it on the biggest stage. And I think we said this yesterday, the day before. You know, Boston's got great players. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. I mean, they're awesome. They ain't Luka. Not on a national scale, not on a popularity scale. And the NBA has always catered itself to superstars. So now Luka gets to be on the biggest stage and, of course, an international following with him and try and deliver. And he is a fantastic basketball player, and he's so much damn fun to watch. He talks a lot of shit. He complains a lot when he gets fouled. So it's great. I mean, it's just he's an NBA guy. He was talking shit yesterday to Snoop Dogg. That was great. But there's a storyline that's come out of like this whole thing. Well, Anthony Edwards needs to know his space, know his role. He can't open up his mouth. Why? Who cares? They didn't lose the series because of Anthony Edwards. I'll tell you that. They lost the first 2 games of the series. It was decided by 4 points. I'd go back and look at I don't know, for the whole series, where was my 2 big centers? Where were those guys? It was a bad matchup for them. It just was. It was a bad matchup for them because they don't have what Dallas has right now. Minnesota doesn't have it yet. They got one of them, but they don't have it a second one. And Dallas has got 2 closers. 2 closers who I never thought would be able to play together. And that is a credit to them. I just never, ever, ever thought Kyrie Irving and Luka would be able to play together. Dominate the ball. Who's going to play off? Credit to Kyrie. He has been able to take, at times, a secondary role to Luka, understanding it is Luka's team, and has played great complementary basketball. But, you know, the trades they made at the deadline and all the things that they added to that team, it's a very good defensive team. They made themselves way better there at the trade deadline. But Anthony Edwards is going to be fine, okay? He's going to be fine. Yeah, he talked a lot of crap. He had fun. Sports is supposed to be fun. And he got up there and talked confidently and had fun in the press conferences and all that. And he is going to be the face of the league. Like, he will be the face of the league. And he's going to get there. And there was nothing that he did in the series that should dissuade anyone from thinking that he won't be the face of the league soon. It's unfortunate he doesn't get there because I'd love to see him on the big stage, but I'm also super excited to see what Luka can do on the biggest stage. All right, we wrap it up with Hey, What the Puck? We had a slight reunion yesterday. The go-to guy was back in town. He went to the Mariners game. He was hanging out with his boys, helping them move out of their I think he was helping, was it Mikey move out of his dorm? Mikey's going to go to Wazoo. So he texts me. He says, I'm heading on over to go watch Fisher Plumbing. So we saw Jim yesterday hanging out at our Little League game, and then took a picture of my van that I had illegally parked and splashed it everywhere. So you can go look at it at Cougs Go there on Twitter to go see how I was parked. Yeah, I was parked illegal. There's nowhere to park there. Plus, I've got all the baseball gear. So all you people that put the comments out there, some of you didn't know it was my car or my van, calling me out. Yeah, well, you could call me out. That's fine. But you got to understand, in Seattle, there are no rules. You can do whatever you want here. Trust me, there's just nothing, especially at Gilman Park. A, there's nowhere to park your car. B, I've got 3 buckets of baseballs, a baseball bag, and all that other crap. I ain't lugging that like blocks away. So, yeah, I park right up there as close as I can. Sue me. All right. But go check it out. It's a funny video. It was great to see Jim yesterday. Can't wait for July when he's back on the radio program. I said radio program. I knew I was going to say that. Back on the program here. Oh, he'll be a big part of it. Get a lot of those emails and texts from people. When is Jim coming back? Not till July. So you got to be patient. But it's coming, and it's coming soon. Also coming soon, and we'll put it up on our Instagram page at Puck2040, by the way. Instagram Puck2040, and then Facebook Puck Sports. Yes, I've got to change it. One of them they've got to be the same. We're going to put up we got a new voicemail. We got a new voicemail character today. The head coach of the Seattle Kraken, Dan Bylsma. It's a pretty good one. Not bad. We never had a Hackstall. And this obviously is our first Bylsma because he was just hired, but it's a pretty good one. So later today, go check it out over at Instagram and Facebook, our new voicemail. Voicemail Fridays are back. All right, that's it for the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. We do it every single day, and we drop it at 10 a.m. So for you, whenever you're listening to this, it doesn't really matter what time it drops. But just letting you know, you may come into this late. Hey, I'm listening to it at 6 o'clock at night. But when does it come out? It comes out at 10 a.m. So we do it every single day. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. As I mentioned before, Android users, YouTube Music as well as a great one. You can toggle back and forth between the audio and the video. Wherever you watch or listen, please, 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 please. It helps it. It kind of boosts the podcast up. Please like, please subscribe, download. Please leave a comment if you can. And I try to answer as many of the comments as I possibly can. And go check out the pucksports.com. Go check out the blog page because up there I put the 2 videos of the 2 Beastquakes, Beastquake 1, Beastquake 2. Which one was better? I just have a slight favorite for the number 2 because of the crotch grab, because I love that. And we got started on the conversation because when we were doing the Rob Staton show yesterday, Rob had positioned his camera in the back. That's the photo he has. He's got it hung up on his office of him grabbing his crotch going into the end zone. Coming up later, we got Chris Egan podcast. That will be released at 1 o'clock, as well as Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times, brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Chris, of course, brought to you by Fat Zach's Pizza. So be on the lookout for those pods coming up later today. We'll talk to you on Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. As always, we promise to be better.
No shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!